meeting of the Permanent Municipal Building Committee for May 25th. We do have a quorum at the meeting. The first thing on the agenda is the warrant. I have a warrant for $14,536. The first item on the warrant is, let me grab a Showtech, and that's for $8,670. The next item is Fitzmyer and Tossi.
Steve, Bob, Showtech for what? Is it the library, the school, the high school, what?
Doesn't say.
Must be the library, because it wasn't, the police station's done.
Showtech wasn't a vendor on either the project, the library or the police that I'm aware of.
Oh,
It's site survey investigation. Would that be the library, Steve, Brian?
That's probably the senior center, maybe?
ah,
No, not that I am aware of. I think that the site surveying was done under the architect's purview, so that would be under LLB.
Okay.
It doesn't say on the warrant. I don't see it on their
Okay.
their bill either. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, the police department.
Okay.
It's for the building
Oh.
envelope.
Okay, so I'm sorry, that might be the parent company for CBI, who is the designer on this job. So
Okay.
CBI was bought by a company that begins with the letter S. So I believe that is correct.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
The one for Fitzmyer rather than Tossi is $1,000, and that is for the library.
Yep, that's the additional maintenance program and manual that was provided by them at the request of PMBC to be kept at the library for the facilities manager.
Okay, and then we have another one, Project Watchdog. A Project
Correct.
Dog, rather.
Yep, that was the service, the online service used for the solar project at the library in order to do the online bidding.
And that's for $550.
Correct.
And then we have two Vertex, one for $1,738 and one for $2,578.
Yep, one of those is the final bill that you'll have for the Littleton police station, the police station that will wrap that project up complete. The other is for the project management for the solar, as we've gotten all of the panels approved and ordered and scheduled to get them up and installed.
Correct. For a total of $14,536. You need a motion?
I'll say so moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Oh, good.
Okay, sorry.
You get it. You get it.
Roll call. Bartlett,
Bartlett, Harvey, yes.
Mike,
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Rich Crowley,
Rich Crowley's yes too.
Stacy. She's muted. Bob Romley, yes. Can we get Stacy to come in?
She's
You're still
She's got it
muted.
muted.
There she
There
is.
you go.
Still
I'm trying
muted.
to unmute it. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
got you.
There we go.
Welcome
Hi there.
aboard, Stacy.
Thank you. I'm sorry I was running a little late. Things are kind of crazy here, but
That's
I'm here.
okay. Next thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes for 4/27/22.
We already approved those. We approved those at the last meeting.
So we should have the minutes from
May,
the 11th, was it?
11.
The minutes from May 11th. Did anybody read them or everybody read them?
I read them.
I
Yeah, they
did.
looked fine.
Okay, motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes for May 11th.
Motion made by Bartlett. Second?
Second.
Roll call, Bartlett, Harvey,
Bartlett, Harvey, yes.
Mike Scaduto,
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Rich Crowley,
Yeah, Rich Crowley is yes too.
And Bob Rumley, yes. Next on the agenda is a brief update from Steve Mark on the Shaker Lane School project.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So, thanks for having me. So I just wanted to come on board and just kind of have an initial conversation about the sorry, it's been a long day, the Shaker Lane building project. So we were accepted by and approved by the MSBA into the phase 1 eligibility study period. That's a 9-month process where we have to do some curriculum studies. We have to do some enrollment projections. We have to give them some information about maintenance costs and things like that. I don't have really specific details. Really, what I have at this point in time is just kind of a general timeline, general flow that I forwarded to Steve Moore and PMBC. Hopefully, you have those
Yes, we do.
off of the MSBA website. One of the first things we're going to have to do is form a building committee, and there are very specific member makeup. I'm not sure what you call it, as designated, as identified by the MSBA, as to who those members are. I also have a meeting set up next week with the town administrator and town legal counsel, just to go over what those requirements are to make sure we're in compliance with the MSBA rules about who's supposed to be on that committee. So once I get that information and clarification from town legal counsel, I will work through, I guess, the chairman of PMBC to start establishing that committee. I'm not looking for any we're not looking for any commitments tonight or anything, or designation as to who's going to be on that committee. We just kind of wanted to have the conversation so that PMBC is aware of what's going on, and that project is quickly coming at us like a freight train. It's honestly, it's Rich Crowley knows it. It's a lot of work.
It is.
And we want to make sure that PMBC members know that, as you guys all know from all the other projects, it's a boatload of work coming down at us. So that's kind of really what I just wanted to. I had that conversation tonight, make sure PMBC was aware of where we were, what's going on. Again, look at those documents as far as the timelines. It's a pretty, it says 9 months, but they have very specific dates as to when we have to provide specific information. And I'm still kind of coming up to speed on that and working on that. We're also going to have to put together an RFQ for an owner's project manager. That's probably would be one of the first things that the committee has to do once that gets formed. So we'll have to work on that as well. And I believe there are model RFQs out there that we can use and tailor to the Shaker Lane project.
Steve, I can use the one I used in Andover. I can just pass it over.
Yeah,
What
perfect.
about the one from the Russell Street School, Steve?
Well, those are kind of old. Those are dated. Those are 10 years old.
Yep.
So I'd rather find a newer sample because MSBA. I remind everybody that the Russell Street School project was, I think, the second project with MSBA when they formed as the new MSBA and had state approval. And so
That's right.
in the 12 years
That's right.
in the 12 years since that building's been done, MSBA has gotten much bigger, much more bureaucratic.
Yep.
Nothing against attorneys, but a lot more attorneys involved in all the paperwork
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure that we do things up to speed with where MSBA is at and expecting as far as paperwork. So anyway, that's really kind of all. I just wanted to just kind of let PMBC know where that was and what was going on. So I'm glad to answer questions if I know the answers. I'm not sure I have all the answers at this point in time, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Steve, if I don't do it tonight, I'll do it this week. or by early next week, send you over the RFP, RFQ. There's a two-step process to getting
Correct.
OPM on board, and I'll send you over both of those templates that we
That's
used in
perfect.
Andover, which is fairly current. It was well down the pike once the new MSBA was established.
Yep, perfect. And I'm sure somewhere in those discussions, we'll have, when it gets further down the road, whether we do contractor at risk type contract with a contractor or, all that kind of stuff. But that's a lot to think of right now. But anyway.
That will all depend on whether we're going to build new or going to renovate, or if we're going to have students on the site when the contractors are in.
Correct. And that's what we
Yep.
did for the Russell Street School. If we recall, it was an occupied renovation and we managed it. Honestly, it was kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
There were a lot of the times we had to get on and talk to the contractors and say, hey, you know what? It's 10 o'clock in the morning. You can't use jackhammers because it echoes through the whole building. So
Yeah.
it was manageable and we can do it. But anyway.
Hey, Steve,
Sure.
I'm not sure if, did Steve Moore talk to you? He did reach out to me. And if you guys need anything, obviously, Vertex isn't involved with Shaker Lane at this point, but as the OPM for the library and the senior center, we have a lot of backlog with the MSBA and a lot of familiarity with jobs that we're on right now. So
Perfect.
That's great.
I did reach out to my department to kind of, let them know about the school committee and about the job that's upcoming. They actually were already aware of it. They're tracking it on the MSBA site itself.
Yep.
They're more than happy to walk through any type of the process or questions that you might have,
Yeah.
just because it's something that they're very familiar with. To be happy to talk to you if you need it.
Yeah, that would be perfect. And I would think maybe we do that once the committee is formed.
Yep.
And so that everybody on the committee can kind of hear what that process is and what's involved and, kind of what the benchmarks are as far as timelines with MSBA. I think that's important. So I truly appreciate that, Brian. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brian Pasquale, just so you know, I just sent you an email with the two files that Rich from Russo Bar was looking at for the high school roof project. So I just sent those to you too. So that's a kind
I
of.
saw that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep. So that's all. Again, that's all I had. Again, glad to answer questions. I'm glad to come back and attend any meeting you guys wish me to attend, and glad to help. And I appreciate everybody's volunteer time, not only to the schools but to the whole town. So I know it's a lot of work. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve?
Yes, Steve, could you tell me generally what the program is going to be, or what the issues are with the Shaker Lane building?
Yeah. How much time do we have? Do you want 2 hours?
No, I want 2 minutes.
Reader's Digest.
It's where do I start? So one of the big things to look at is there's no sprinkler system in that building.
Okay.
The electrical system in the original part of the building, the plumbing is all original 1964 to the building. When the building was added on and renovated in 1998, the original building was not touched as far as the infrastructure and the plumbing and the electrical. So those are issues. We have overcrowding in the classrooms. We have teaching programs taking place in the hallways because there's not enough teaching space. There's not enough one-to-one breakout spaces and things like that. We've taken old storage closets and turned them into offices. There's no windows. The ventilation's lousy. The temperature in that building in the summertime can easily exceed 90 degrees in some of the classrooms. We've added some temporary air conditioning units, split systems into that building just to alleviate that. But that's not the best way to do it because we run into CO2 monitoring issues because the split systems don't tie into our building management system, and there's no CO2 sensors attached to that. So we have to manually track that. So
Okay.
yeah, those are just some of the issues. Bartley's.
It's a good start. Thank you.
If I can add, it's, so it's total MEP upgrade, envelope upgrade, because it's the gradings aren't there. And the building needs a seismic upgrade too, because it was built before we introduced seismic.
Yep.
Now we did this seismic work for the Russell Street School, and it was pretty disruptive to the building, but it's safe now.
Yeah,
So-
there are some cracks. I'll be honest, there are a couple of minor cracks in the Shaker Lane building. I think it happened 8 or 9 years ago when there was a minor earthquake in Littleton, and you can see the crack in the building. So it's not structural, it's not big. We had an engineer come look at it.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal, but it's there. So,
So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
yeah, there's more. I could go on.
Yeah, generally walking through, it's you can tell it's dated for sure.
It's beyond
Yeah.
its life expectancy.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so one of the big issues is if you wanted to renovate the old part of the building and update the HVAC and the plumbing, obviously you'd have to demo a bunch of walls and stuff, but there's not enough headspace between the drop ceiling and the floor deck of the second floor to really add systems. I think there's an 18-inch space in there, and I think the new standards are Rich, 24 or 36 inches, or
Yeah.
something like that in there.
We,
So
we
you
ran
can
into
have
that problem
space.
with the Russell Street School too, and we were able to work with it, but it took some trickery.
Yeah. So anyway, by the way, hi Stacy, I'm Steve.
Hi, Steve. Nice to,
Welcome to school committee.
thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions?
And I'm sorry about your dad. So,
Oh, thank you. It was my mother. Thank you. I
oh, your
appreciate it.
mother, I'm sorry. So
Thank you. Thank
anyway, so that's where I'm at. Again, glad to answer questions. Glad to come back anytime you guys need me.
I actually have a question. I'm obviously new to this process here. What do you guys think the timeline is for when we start construction? I mean, obviously all the planning that goes into it to starting construction to it actually being completed.
Oh, you on the Shaker Lane School, you're looking at it probably at least 3 years, possibly 4, by the time construction is completed. It's a 9-month eligibility period, feasibility study.
Yep.
And then if we get accepted into the MSBA beyond that, again, no reason to assume we're not going to, but if we get accepted, then it's I don't remember. I think it's a year process for the design. And then
It's basically anywhere from 15 to 24 months for the actual construction, including the design.
okay,
So you add 9
Yep.
more months to that, and you're almost at 3 years.
yeah, so it's 3 to 4 years probably by the time construction is started and finished. So somewhere in there.
Okay. Is there a location? Do you guys have a location in mind yet? Or is that still, that's not
No,
even?
that's part of the feasibility study.
Yeah.
Yeah, renovate versus build new. Yeah.
Right. There is, this is just my opinion. I'm not the engineer. I'm not the architect. There is, land available on the Shaker Lane site, for multiple options, either an addition or, a new building or a partial new building and keep part of the old building. Again, I don't want to make assumptions or presumptions about what's going to happen, but, there is some land available where, in my opinion, I don't think we need to go look at another site, because another site would just increase the price with the site work and the construction and all that kind of stuff. So again, that's just my opinion, but
Yeah, in Andover, we did something like seven iterations. It's the architect's job to come up with all these different scenarios, but we ended up with 7 different iterations
wow.
between on-site, off-site, renovation.
Yeah,
This
build
type
up,
of
build out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, do nothing. All that kind of stuff. It's a process.
Yep.
And there's pricing for each of those iterations, and they all have to fit into a matrix that the MSBA creates based on their standards for the size of a classroom and their standards for the size of all the rest of the paraphernalia that goes with the school, based on the number of students. It's the MSBA has a really good program to follow. I mean, they've got it down to a science.
Yeah, they do. The last time I looked on their website, they had like 70 something projects in one stage or another going on across the state of Massachusetts right now. So some are just
Great.
starting, some are just finishing. So it was something like 70 projects going on at the same time. So
Yeah, all the towns are listed. Yeah.
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 So it's a big organization. It's 1% of the sales tax goes to fund it. So,
Yeah. And in past years, that 1% would equate to anywhere from 3 to 5 billion. With the economy we have now, I'd expect that's probably closer to 8 billion. Imagine that every year
yeah.
from a penny.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Any other questions for Steve?
Is this Shaker Lane going to be on the new sewer system?
I think that's, I don't know I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I think that's a question for the water department, whether they're gonna run a pipe that far down.
Wow.
I mean, that's
Okay, no.
2 miles down that road. So just as a little background, Shaker Lane, when they did the renovation in '98, they added a new septic system to the Shaker Lane school. And they called it an innovative system. I don't know what was innovative about it. But the pipe runs out the back of the school, down across the field, up through the woods, across Shaker Lane School, down, oh, golly, I don't remember the name of the street. It's down a street, and the school has access and has control of approximately 35 acres on the other side of the street. That there is a leaching field in that 35 acres. Now, part of that 35 acres is also waterfront, water wetlands, and there's some nature trails through there. But so
Wow.
I guess that's part of that whole feasibility study and options to look at.
Yeah, to Bartlett's answer question, MSBA will not pay for anything that doesn't have to do with the school. In other words, they won't pay for a forced main down, 2 miles down the road. Groton went through that. They tried to get a water main to their school, and MSBA kicked it out. So it's got to be on site. It's got to be everything that has to be done that they'll pay for will be within the bounds of that site.
Thanks.
Steve, thank you very much for coming in and filling us in on the project, the way it's
All right.
going.
No
Yeah.
problem. You guys know where to reach me. So again, welcome to answer questions, email or phone. And welcome to come back to any other meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Hey,
You
Steve.
too.
Yep. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, Rich, I sent you I responded to your email about who the MSBA project manager is as well. So check your
I
email.
got it. Yeah, I didn't know her. She's a newbie. So
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay. Yep. Bye.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Steve.
Next
Thanks
on the
again.
agenda. Next on the agenda is library update. Solar panels, final cost, close out with Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. We are currently in good position with the solar panels. We have all our submittals are in, the racking system is in and approved. The panels are in and approved. I've been informed that they are on order. I'm waiting for a delivery date. I've been told sometime in the middle of June is when the expectation is to have them on site. I'm told it's a 3-day process. We'll be working with operations to make sure we're as least disruptive as possible. I've been in touch with Sam as well as the contractor. We've had the engineer of record go out on site to inspect some of the HVAC noise. There's some concern about the ambient noise coming from the ERV. We had the engineer come out, inspect some of the filters. My plan's to go through Sam, the maintenance plan, and ultimately what hopefully when the town hires a facilities manager, they can get on a schedule on the routine maintenance that the building's going to need.
Yeah.
We did have a walkthrough with the site contractor, Cataldo, to go through some of the concerns on the wildflower seeds not taking and germinating at this point. We've told that there's really not much to worry about, that this takes a few year process for the seed that was selected. But in the meantime, we've been given an alternative or some sort of a clover cover in order to provide some sort of growth and stabilization on those hills. We ran that by conservation, Amy Green at conservation. She was satisfied with that mix. So you'll be seeing that work being done in the next couple weeks.
That hydro seed, Brian?
Excuse me?
Is it hydro seed?
It will be, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there'll be two different types of seed. One for where the wildflower mix is, which is on the far side of the library towards the walking path. And then there'll be more of a traditional hydro seed on the sledding hill, where that is in less conflict with the wetland area.
Great.
Besides that, things are going well. End user seems to be happy. We've closed out payment with the contractor. We've closed out payment with almost all of the owner vendors at this point. So once the solar panels are up, we'll be working with the designer to make sure that he has everything he needs for his lead submission. And then we'll be in a little bit of a waiting period as we wait to see what the response is on the lead, and ultimately what the payback will be from the MBLC. So we'll be working with getting our final grant payment, inclusive of the lead points, and hopefully the town gets a nice check at the end of the day from the state. So I'll go to the library. Looking forward to its neighbor, the senior center. That's the word.
Through the chair. Brian, do we need to do a closeout change order with you guys?
With Vertex?
Yeah.
No. At this point, our fee was based on a lump sum, based on time and material.
Yeah.
We stayed within our original fee. I did work with the trustees and the town for a small extension for the solar in order to project manage with the solar.
Yep.
I think it was a small $12,000-$15,000 fee, and our goal is to stay within that to get that installed.
And I presume we did a closeout change order with a contractor, right?
We did. The GMP, we had added some small change orders onto the GMP throughout construction.
Yeah.
Our closeout change order ended up being a credit back to the town to give us some of the allowances that we recouped that weren't used during construction.
Right. Great. And
Firewatch, I think Firewatch was one of them. I believe some of it was stabilization, erosion control allowances that we took back.
Yeah, money unseen, unspent.
Correct.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Any other
I'm
questions
good.
for Brian? All right, moving on, Brian, police station, is that finally closed out now?
Yeah, I asked Steve, I don't think this needs to be on the agenda anymore. I think that as-built, O&M manuals, everything's with on site at the chief as well as at the building commissioner's office. I have reached out to Scotech or CBI to make sure that they're finally paid. And once I get confirmation on that, there's nothing to be done at this point except close it out with Sean O'Brien and Alicia Nunley in town accounting.
Great. High school roof, Brian Pasquale?
Sure. Yeah. Myself, Steve, Mark, and Rich had a quick meeting today with Russo Barr, the designer. Went through a couple of the issues, primarily the snow melt issue that we want to tackle as part of this project. I think Rich's suggestions were good ones regarding putting some active snow melt up there rather than relying on the roofing membrane. So there's a couple of tweaks that Russo Barr has to make to get that incorporated in their documents, but I'm glad we had that conversation, before they put out a review set for us.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do that between next week and the following week. Their goal was to get us the package, not next week, the holiday week after Memorial Day, but that following week, which is really kind of the first week in June, which goes along. The other portion that we have to get done is Steve Mark was setting up a mason on June 2nd to do a little bit of brick removal so that Russo Barr can see the existing through wall flashing detail. That'll be the last detail they kind of clean up. And then, so roughly let's say 2 weeks from now or so, we'll see an owner review set from Russo Bar to provide comments that I'll distribute to the committee.
Great. How long do we figure before we go out to bid on that?
I like to do it almost immediately. So, we'll get the owner review set. Typically I would say that's a 2-week process for everyone to review and get comments in. But if we can turn it around in a week, that'd be even better to try and get that out to bid right away.
Yeah. Sounds good. Any questions for Brian?
One question I did have that I sent along to Steve, but maybe one of you guys know. Do we have an existing additional general conditions of the contract document, like our standard contract GCs that is on file somewhere? I know we must. I just don't have my hands on it.
We do. It's, we were using the AIA document, AIA general conditions.
Okay.
Yeah, the standard AIA general condition form. We modified it. We modified it somewhat because when we took out things like we added stuff that said for change orders you got to include small tools within your fee for change orders. So a couple of edits to the AIA, not many.
Okay, great.
Legal, I think Harrington's office has a copy. I bet you can get probably a copy to the treasurer too.
Okay, I'll ask. I sent a note to Steve, but I'll ask Jenny as well. And
Jenny will
that's
be
something I just want to make sure we include in the bid package. So I'll grab that.
She has it, and one way to be sure that she's got the right one is to take a look at the change order section to see if our edits are in there to prevent a contractor from charging for small tools and miscellaneous on every one of the change orders. And we also limited their change order fee to 5%.
Okay, good.
Because I come from the days when GCs were using change orders to basically fund their make their fee, and by a normal fee would be 15%. I dropped it to 5% as a disincentive to do change orders. It seems to work.
All positive changes. So I'll touch base with Jenny and make sure I get the right document to put.
Great. Thank you.
Senior Center, Brian?
Yeah, and Brian, just to jump on that with Jenny, I've been in talk with her. I was actually speaking with her this evening. So if you need anything from her and not hear anything, just shoot me an email. I've got a couple more meetings with her.
Okay, thanks.
Regarding the CM at risk application. I'm not sure if Steve had distributed this. I think I sent it out to the PMBC a couple months ago, but it was called the Plans and Procedures for the Town. And what that is pretty much a regurgitation of Chapter 149A and the reasons, the way that the town is going to procure the CM at risk throughout this project. Is it something that everyone has and is aware of or actually has reviewed?
I haven't.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Okay. I did send that to him. What I think I need to do is include that into our application that goes to the Inspector General. What I'll do is I'll follow up with Steve to maybe distribute to everybody. I'm not sure if we'd have to have, I'll find out from Jenny tomorrow if we have to have maybe an emergency PMBC meeting just to vote on the plans and procedures to make sure that we're okay so that we can do our application. But we have everything drafted. We have the minutes from the select board. I'd like to have the vote on these plans and procedures again. And that will be, and then the confirmation from Harrington's office with Jenny Morrell would be our last piece. And then that will go to the Inspector General. From a design standpoint, the surveyor's been out on site. It's done its survey work. And LLB, the architect, has now begun into design development. I'm working with Jenny as well on getting the extensions for LLB now that the project has been funded all the way through. through closeout at this point. I think we did very well on the architecture fee on that one, including all of the consultants. So we'll continue with that. Hopefully by next meeting, I can give you an update that we have confirmation from the Inspector General. If we can maybe have an emergency one just to do that vote, I think it's going to be very procedural.
Perfect, yeah.
And then we'll go from there. At the next meeting, we'll have confirmation from the IGs that they've received it. And then in the meantime, once that's under review of the Inspector General's office, us as the OPM, we will begin doing kind of some pre-qualification. We will have to assemble a committee together in order to do some vetting of when we put out our RFQ for the CM. So we have a good template and a good backlog of doing things just like this. So more to come in our next meeting about what our next steps are about procuring a construction manager.
What's the status of the house, Brian?
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you. As far as I know, I don't know if that's actually been signed off on at this point. Admittedly, I've been a little behind the eight ball with the assistant town administrator has now moved on to a new role in another community. So he was kind of my sounding board. So I talked with Anthony, the town administrator, this morning. And not surprisingly, he's buried right now. So I will get the update on where we stand with the house and what the rezoning is going to be once we get that surveying done.
See,
You know whether Stacy had a question or not? She.
No, I just actually sneezed. I apologize. It snuck out of me. I was trying to hold it back to push mute and it just exploded out of me. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
I had a question on that. Were we able to get a hold of the budget and the drawings? I know you were going to send it over to us.
I'm sorry, that didn't get sent to you, did it, Mike?
No.
Yeah, you want the estimate from AM Fogarty as well as the drawings that we had, right?
Yeah.
Yep, I got it. I'll get that to you tomorrow morning. That's all right.
Sounds good.
to the chair.
Go ahead.
Brian, when you do your application to the IG for the CM at risk, make sure you focus on the proximity to the public, the neighborhood, the library, the senior center, and the town hall. Those
Absolutely.
are, and the second thing is to emphasize the virgin site. We it's an unknown. The site is unknown.
Sure.
So both are conditions that could end up becoming very costly if we went to just to straight bid.
Definitely. In the application, they provide a good substantial area where you can fill out the justification for it.
Yeah,
So that's what we plan on doing. Yep.
Those are two good things. Thank you.
That it, Brian? You all set?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Member input. Mike?
Good to go.
All right. Rich?
How long can we be doing this remotely? Because I love the remote ability to do this remote.
I think it's the end of July.
Yeah, sometime in July.
Is there any indication that the governor or the state might extend it for certain groups or certain types of meetings?
I'm not sure.
I haven't heard anything in any of the meetings I've been at.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just curious.
All right.
Thanks.
Stacy?
No, I'm all set.
Bartlett?
I'm all set, thanks.
Did I lose Brian? Brian?
I'm all set, thanks.
All right, I'm all set. Need a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
I'll second that. Brian Pasquale.
All right, motion made and seconded. Bartlett Harvey,
Bartlett Harvey, yes.
Brian,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
Rich Crowley,
Rich Crowley is a yes. Thank you.
Mike Scaduto.
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Where'd Stacy go? Stacy?
Stacy Damaris, yes.
All right, Bob Romley, yes. Next meeting is scheduled for June 8th via a Zoom meeting.
Terrific.